Tokyo. It's this amazing blend, isn't it? Deep tradition meets super modern.
Absolutely. That mix is a huge draw for expats, that energy.
It really is. That sense of, possibility, maybe a bit of excitement, maybe a little daunting too.
Definitely daunting because, well, the practical side kicks in fast.
Right. The dream meets the reality of figuring things out, where to live, jobs, the culture.
Yeah, having good info is just crucial. Makes the whole move smoother.
And that's what we're getting into today. We've got this great guide, Expat Guide in Tokyo. What you need to know. It's like a shortcut, really. Covers the big stuff, costs, jobs, but also the day-to-day things like getting around, culture.
Our mission here is basically to pull out the key stuff from that guide, give you a clear picture.
Exactly. So whether you're seriously planning a move or just kind of curious about expat life there.
We're boiling it down to what you really need to know.
Okay, let's jump in. Tokyo's reputation.
Yeah.
Often the first question is, how much does it actually cost?
Yeah, the cost of living question. The guide hits that straight away. And, well, no surprise, rent is the big one.
The biggest expense, usually.
For sure. It's like that in most big cities. And Tokyo's no different. The guide breaks it down by area, which is helpful.
So, like, central areas. Shibuya, Shinjuku.
Right. If you want to be right in the middle of everything, the guide says you're looking at upwards of maybe $150,000 a month. And that's often for a pretty small place.
Oh, okay. That's a chunk of change. But you pay for the location.
Exactly. But if you move out a bit, say, Setagaya, still quite central, more residential.
What sort of prices are we talking there?
The guide suggests maybe $100,000 to $130,000 range, so a bit more affordable.
Okay. That's a noticeable difference.
And then if you're willing to commute longer, maybe from Saitama or Chiba.
The neighboring prefectures.
Yeah. The guide puts rents there potentially down in the $70,000 to $100,000 bracket.
So it's that classic trade-off, isn't it? Commute time versus rent cost.
Precisely. Finding what works for your budget and your tolerance for travel time.
Now, it's not just the monthly rent, is it? The guide mentions these upfront costs, the hidden extras.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely critical to know about key money or Riken.
Which is weird. It's like a gift.
It is a non-refundable gift to the landlord. And then the deposit, shikken.
Which you might get back, some of it.
You might, depending on cleaning and repairs. But together, key money and deposit can easily add up to several months' rent, right at the start.
Ouch. That's a big initial hit. Like a signing bonus for the landlord, you said?
Yeah. Kind of like that. It catches people out.
So the guide has tips for managing that.
Yeah, a really practical one is maybe starting with a studio apartment.
Okay.
Smaller place, smaller initial costs.
Makes sense. Settle in first, figure out neighborhoods, then maybe look for something bigger later.
Exactly. Don't commit too much right away.
Okay, rent's the big one. What about other daily stuff? Food, transport.
The guide gives some ballpark figures. Food, maybe budget around $30,000 to $50,000 a month. Depends how much you eat out, obviously.
And transport. Tokyo's system is amazing, but does it cost a lot?
It's pretty reasonable, actually. The guide estimates maybe $10,000 to $15,000 for a monthly pass.
Okay. And they mention those IC cards. Suica or Pasma.
Essential. You absolutely need one. It's like your travel pass, your wallet for vending machines, convenience stores. Makes life so much easier. Just tap and go.
Got it. Like an Oyster card or Metro card, but maybe even more versatile?
Pretty much, yeah. Then utilities, electricity, gas, water, Vestergon. The guide estimates around $15,000 to $25,000.
And internet, mobile phone. Everyone needs those.
Relatively cheap, actually. Maybe $4,000 to $6,000 for internet. And mobile around $3,000, depending on your plan.
So overall, if you manage rent, the daily stuff seems manageable.
It can be. The guide gives good tips for saving money. Cooking at home is a big one.
Embracing the bento box culture.
Definitely. It's economical, it's part of the culture, and they're often delicious. Also, looking out for deals like lunch specials or supermarkets reducing prices in the evening.
Smart shopping. Being mindful.
Exactly. You don't have to break the bank living in Tokyo. You just need to be strategic.
Okay. Cost of living sorted, roughly. Now, how do you actually earn the money? The job market.
Right. The guide covers the main sectors for expats. Teaching English is still a big one, a common way in for many.
Still a classic route.
Yeah. But the guide also really highlights IT and engineering. Huge demand there. Tokyo is a massive tech hub.
That makes sense. Lots of international tech companies.
For sure. Hospitality, too. Lots of tourism. And finance. Obviously, it's a global finance center.
The guide even mentioned construction consulting.
Yeah, that was interesting. Shows there's a bit of variety depending on your background and skills.
But the big hurdle is always the visa, right?
Always.
Yeah.
Non-negotiable. The guide stresses this. You need the right visa for the job you're doing.
And you can't just show up and look for work.
Nope. Generally, you need a job offer first. And crucially, the company needs to sponsor your visa application.
So job offer and sponsorship, that's the key combination.
That's usually the path. The guide strongly advises checking the official Japanese Immigration Bureau website. Get the latest info, start the process early.
And keep copies of everything. Standard advice, but so important.
Absolutely. Paperwork trails are vital.
Beyond the formal stuff, the guide talks about networking. How important is that in Tokyo?
Hugely important. The guide really emphasizes this. It can open doors that standard job applications might not.
So how do you network effectively there?
The guide suggests the usual routes, but maybe with a Tokyo twist. Industry events, meetups are good. Joining expat groups online and offline.
Many have their own job boards or forums, right?
Exactly. And LinkedIn, of course. Building connections online and then trying to meet people.
What about informational interviews? The guide mentioned those.
Yeah, they can be really valuable. Just reaching out to people in your field for a chat, learn about the industry, the culture, maybe get some leads.
But you need to be polite. Follow up.
Oh, absolutely. The guide stresses sending thank you notes. Those little things matter a lot in Japanese business culture. Politeness, professionalism.
So it's about being proactive, putting yourself out there, building relationships.
That's the winning strategy, according to the guide. Be prepared, be persistent, and network actively.
Okay, so let's say you've landed the job, got the visa sorted. Next big challenge. Where do you actually live? Finding a home.
Yes, and choosing the right neighborhood is key. It shapes your whole daily experience. The guide highlights a few popular expat areas.
Like Azabu and Hiru. What's the vibe there?
The guide describes them as popular, definitely premium cost though, very international feel, great amenities, lots of embassies around there.
Good if you have the budget and want that kind of international bubble.
Sort of, yeah. Then you've got Shibuya and Ebisu, more lively, energetic, great for nightlife, shopping.
But potentially noisy.
Could be, yeah. Depends what you're looking for. Better if you like being right in the thick of it.
What about quieter options?
The guide suggests Meguro and Setagaya. More residential, good for families, quieter streets, but still well-connected. Lots of expat-friendly apartments, apparently.
Sounds like a good balance.
It can be. Offers more of a neighborhood feel.
Okay, so once you pick an area, what kind of housing is actually available?
The main thing is apartments. The guide distinguishes between aparto, often smaller, maybe older wooden structures, and mansion.
Mansion sounds grand, but it just means a more modern apartment building, right? Usually concrete.
Exactly. Not necessarily huge. Then there are share houses.
Those sound interesting. Good for budget and meeting people.
Yeah, the guide highlights that. Budget-friendly, built-in social life. Great if you're new and want to connect fast.
And guest houses. More short-term.
Typically, yeah. Good for when you first arrive and are looking around. And finally, traditional Japanese houses, kaminka.
Charming, but maybe need work.
Potentially, yeah. Might need more upkeep. Less common for initial rentals, maybe.
Okay, the rental process itself sounds complicated.
It can be. The guide lays out the steps. First, find a real estate agent.
English speaking recommended if your Japanese isn't great.
Definitely helps avoid misunderstandings, then viewings, obviously. Then the application you'll need proof of income, ID.
And the guarantor thing. That sounds tricky for expats.
It can be. You often need someone, usually Japanese, to guarantee your rent. If you don't have someone, the guide mentions using a guarantor company.
Which costs extra.
It does. It's a fee for their service, but often necessary.
Then the contract and paying all that upfront money we talked about.
Right. Deposit, key money, first rent, agency fees. It adds up fast. Need to budget for it.
And the guide mentioned potential reluctance from some landlords towards foreigners.
Yeah, it's a sensitive point, but important to be aware of. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes landlords prefer Japanese tenants. The guide just says, be patient, be prepared with all your documents.
Persistence and a good agent seem key.
They really are. Finding a place is definitely doable, just requires diligence.
All right, we've got money, jobs, housing. Let's talk about fitting in, culture and language. The guide really pushes learning Japanese, doesn't it?
It does, and rightly so. You can get by with English in some places, touristy areas, specific workplaces.
But your experience will be much richer if you learn the language.
Massively richer. Daily interactions, understanding nuances, making local friends. It opens so many doors. But the guide is realistic. It's tough for English speakers.
So, where to start? It seems daunting.
The guide suggests starting with the phonetics groups, hiragana and katakana. They're the building blocks for reading and writing basic words.
Easier than the complex kanji characters initially.
Generally, yes. Get those down first. Lots of apps, websites to help. Duolingo, Memrise, things like that.
And for speaking and grammar.
The guide recommends considering proper classes, more structure. But the key thing it stresses is, don't be afraid to try. Make mistakes.
People are patient.
Generally, yes. The guide mentions Japanese people often appreciate the effort, even if your grammar isn't perfect.
That's good to know. Even basic phrases help.
Mm-hmm.
The guide mentioned konnichiwa and arigato.
Absolutely. Just showing you're trying goes a long way, builds rapport, shows respect.
Beyond language, what about cultural norms? The little things.
Super important for smooth interactions. The guide highlights bowing. It's about respect. Different levels of bows.
Taking shoes off indoors.
Always. You'll usually be given slippers. Queuing etiquette very orderly. Don't cut in line.
And bringing a gift when you visit someone's home.
Yes. A small gift, like nice snacks or sweets, is customary. It's a thoughtful gesture.
Little things that show consideration. The guide also briefly mentioned unique workplace cultures.
Yeah, that's a whole topic in itself. Different expectations around hierarchy, communication, working hours sometimes. Worth researching for your specific field.
How about making friends, building a network beyond work?
The guide suggests joining clubs or societies based on your interests, sports, hobbies, whatever. Volunteering is another way.
Getting involved locally.
Exactly. Attending local festivals, markets, community events. Great ways to meet Japanese people outside the expat bubble.
So consciously step outside your comfort zone a bit.
Yeah. Share houses, mentioned earlier, can also be good for that. And finally, the guide acknowledges culture shock.
It's normal, right?
Totally normal. It's a process. Ups and downs. Be patient with yourself. Stay open-minded.
Okay, you're settling in, learning the ropes.
Yeah.
How do you actually get around this huge city? Transport.
Tokyo's public transport. It's amazing. Trains, subways, buses, extensive, efficient, incredibly punctual.
A bit overwhelming at first, maybe?
Yeah.
Different companies, JR, Metro.
It can seem that way, yeah. The guide mentions JR, Tokyo Metro, Toei Subway. Different lines, different maps. But you get used to it surprisingly quickly.
The trains are legendary for being on time. Yamanote Line.
The famous loop line connecting major hubs. Trains are great, cover huge distances. Subways are excellent for the city center.
But can get crowded.
Oh, yeah. Rush hour is intense. Be prepared for a squash. Buses are good for areas trains don't reach, but can be slower due to traffic.
And the absolute must-have is that IC card again. Suica or Pasmo.
Cannot stress it enough. Get one immediately. Tap on, tap off. Use it at convenience stores. Simple. Makes life so much easier.
Like a magic wand for getting around and buying small things.
Pretty much. Saves fiddling with cash for tickets every time.
Interestingly, the guide says Tokyo is bike-friendly. I wouldn't necessarily picture that.
Surprisingly so in many areas. Some cycle lanes, bikes often share roads or sidewalks carefully. It's a great way to explore neighborhoods, get exercise.
And just walking in areas like Shibuya or Shinjuku is feasible too.
Definitely. Those areas are very walkable, designed for pedestrians. Good way to soak it all in.
But driving? Probably best avoided.
The guide strongly advises against it unless essential. Traffic, parking is expensive and hard to find. Roads can be confusing, plus you need the right permit or license.
So stick to the trains, subways, maybe bike or walk.
That's the most practical way for most people, yeah. Efficient, cost-effective, and you see more of the city.
Okay. Next crucial area, healthcare. What's the system like?
Generally excellent quality, the guide says. High standard of care. But you absolutely need insurance.
How do you find doctors, especially English-speaking ones?
The guide suggests online searches, expat forums, maybe lists from your embassy. There are clinics and hospitals that cater to international residents.
And when you go, what do you need?
Bring your residence card, that's your official ID, and your health insurance card. Be prepared for a copayment. You usually pay a percentage of the cost up front.
And if language is a barrier?
The guide suggests having a phrasebook or translation app ready. Very practical tip for navigating appointments.
What about the insurance itself? What are the main options?
Two main systems.
Right.
First, National Health Insurance, or NHI.
Who gets that?
It's mandatory if you're staying over 3 months and don't have insurance through your job. You enroll at your local city or ward office.
And what does it cover?
Typically covers 70% of most medical costs. Your premiums are based on your income.
Okay. And the other main type?
Employer-sponsored health insurance. If you're a full-time employee, your company will usually enroll you in this. It's often more comprehensive than NHI.
So, depends on your employment status. Is there a third option?
Yes, private health insurance.
Hmm.
You can get this on top of NHI or employer insurance for extra coverage, maybe specific hospital access, or to cover the remaining 30% copayment.
So, you have choices depending on your needs and budget.
Exactly. It's worth looking into what suits you best. The guide has a helpful comparison.
And emergencies. What's the number?
It's 119. That connects you to the fire department, who also handle ambulances.
Good to know. What should you tell them?
Clearly state your location, the nature of the emergency. The guide suggests having a Japanese speaker make the call if possible, just to ensure clarity in a stressful moment.
And ambulances are free.
The ambulance ride itself is free, yes, but the treatment you receive at the hospital is not free. That's why insurance is so vital.
Right. Insurance covers the hospital costs. Got it.
Being prepared for health stuff is just fundamental.
Okay, last big area the guide covers is social life and community. Really important for settling in.
Absolutely. Moving somewhere new can be lonely. Finding your tribe is key.
Tokyo has a big expat community, right?
Very vibrant, yeah. The guide highlights it as a great resource. Online forums, social media groups, lots of meetups based on hobbies or nationalities.
A good way to find people who understand the experience.
Definitely. Eases the transition, provides support, practical tips. Joining sports teams or clubs is another suggestion.
But the guide also encourages exploring beyond the expat scene.
Yes, strongly. To really experience Tokyo and meet local people, it suggests things like taking cooking classes, sushi, or ramen making, maybe.
Fun. What else?
Visiting local festivals, events, joining hiking groups, things that get you interacting with Japanese residents in a natural setting.
Maybe joining a local sports club or living in a share house like we mentioned.
Exactly. Ways to integrate more authentically.
And Tokyo's famous for food and entertainment.
Oh, endless options. A foodie paradise. The guide encourages exploring different neighborhoods, trying local specialties.
And the unique cafes and bars. Cat cafes, robot restaurants.
All that quirky stuff, too. Themed cafes, unique bars like ninja bars, tons of live music venues. You'll never be bored.
Sounds like finding a social life involves both leveraging the expat network and actively engaging with local culture.
That's the ideal balance, yeah. Best of both worlds.
Wow, we've covered a lot. From costs and jobs to housing, culture, transport, healthcare, social life.
It's a comprehensive guide. Really hits the essentials for anyone thinking about Tokyo.
It feels like it takes some of the scariness out of it, makes it seem more manageable.
I think so. It gives you a solid framework, practical steps.
Yeah.
It acknowledges the challenges, the costs, the bureaucracy, the culture shock.
But also highlights the incredible rewards, right?
Absolutely. Living in a city like Tokyo, it's dynamic, it's unique. The guide shows it's achievable with the right preparation and mindset.
So wrapping up, this deep dive really aimed to distill that key info for you. Understanding the cost, the job hunt, finding a home, adapting culturally, getting around, staying healthy, and building community.
Those are the core pillars, really. Get those sorted and you're well on your way.
It provides that foundation, those practical insights to demystify the whole process.
And hopefully makes the idea of living in Tokyo feel less like a distant dream and more like a real possibility.
Definitely. So a final thought, perhaps. Living in a city like Tokyo, it's transformative, isn't it? It pushes you, changes you.
Without a doubt, the challenges are real, but the opportunities for growth, for discovery, they're immense.
So maybe the question for you listening is, what part of this Tokyo expat life resonates most? What challenges or opportunities spark your interest to learn even more about making a life in this incredible, constantly shifting metropolis?